You know, I'm reading this autobiography of a yogi and came across this footnote that was so fascinating. I feel like I want to go record a double-length concept album about it. Or maybe I should just go listen to the album Tales from Topographic Oceans by Yes. And I think while I'm going to do that, I'm going to enjoy some small batch pink gin. Enough of my yakking. Let's go drink some gin and listen to some records. You know, there's a lot of varieties of what we would call pink gin. What we're going to enjoy today is a gin by the Isle of Wight distillery called Mermaid Pink. And while some pink gins might be sweeter, some very fruity, Mermaid Pink is of the fruitier variety, and it's actually got a strawberry flavor to it. And you can even just get it in the aroma. It's not overpowering, but just enough to evoke something bigger. Let you know while you're sipping it that it is a small part of a larger world. Maybe a world that's difficult to understand. A world that has a bit of the bitterness of gin, but mixed with the sweetness of the strawberry. This is nice. Maybe not something I would drink on an everyday basis, but if I'm in the mood for it, and if I really want to delve deep into kind of uncovering the secrets of a very flavorful gin, this could be actually just what I wanted. And I think that a lot about the album that I'm going to listen to while drinking this gin. That album is, of course, Yes's epic concept album, Tales from Topographic Oceans. Now, the thing about this album is that it is 4 sides, double album. Each song encompasses an entire side. Now, some people say that works to the detriment of this album, that maybe there's padding in it. In fact, Rick Wakeman was one who said that. That this album would have been good if the CD era had been in play at that point, because they could have done a 60-minute album instead of an 80-minute album. And that they were working hard to fill the sides. Obviously, this is something that the rest of the band don't agree with. In fact, I think Steve Howe and John Anderson will rate this as one of their favorite Yes moments. I really like it. Kind of like the gin, though, is this Yes that I'm going to want to listen to every single day? No, I'm not going to listen to this album like I might listen to Relay or Close at the Edge or the Yes album. But that doesn't mean I like it less. It just means it demands more of me than those albums do. Right up from the cover art. So yeah, let's delve deep into this. Now, first things first about this album. The Rick Wakeman drama surrounding this album. This is the album that caused Rick Wakeman to leave for an album, gets replaced by Patrick Moraz on Relayer, which probably worked out well for everyone, because Relayer is a great album, and Patrick Moraz's keyboard work is amazing. But obviously we all love Rick Wakeman. So why did he leave? Well, as I said, he really felt that the album was too much filler. Some, though, say that it's because it really wasn't in Rick's playing style, and so he didn't really enjoy playing it. There's actually a lot of moments on this album where if Rick Wakeman is standing on stage in his flowing cape and all of that, he's not really doing much. He'd just be standing on stage or playing something very simply. This is definitely a Steve Howe and John Anderson album because with a lot of guitar and a lot of really interesting vocal work on it. In fact, there is a great story about Rick Wakeman on stage during the Tales from Topographic Oceans tour where they played the entire album all the way through, and apparently Rick Wakeman shouts to his roadie, hey, after this show, let's go get curry. Roadie overhears it, goes out during the concert, during one long extended Steve Howe solo, brings it back to Rick Wakeman, who proceeds to eat it on stage. The story goes that John Anderson may have come over and had a bite as well, but in any case, the band felt a bit insulted by this, and this Rick had already told them that he was out of the band at this point, but this certainly didn't help things. But it really goes to the fact that Rick Wakeman thought this album was very boring. Also, during the recording of this album, Black Sabbath is right across the way, recording the Sabbath Bloody Sabbath album, and apparently Rick Wakeman is hanging out more with Ozzy and Geezer and Tony and Bill than he is with Steve Howe and John Anderson and Chris Squire. And you gotta figure the Black Sabbath guys are probably a bit more fun. And Rick is on the Sabbath Bloody Sabbath album, in fact doing much more fantastical Rick Wakeman things than he's doing on this album. But in any case, I digress. Let's get into the album. So the album is a concept album that was inspired by John Anderson's reading of the book Autobiography of a Yogi, which is kind of this classic book in Eastern thought. He comes across a footnote that talk about these 4 kind of vital elements of the human experience. And he goes to Steve Howe and he says, let's create an album about this. Steve Howe loves the idea, and so apparently they light a bunch of candles and they sit down and they hammer out what this album is going to be, the lyrics, the music, and basically, again, it's divided in 4 parts. The first part is about what is the nature of God, that the nature of God cannot be expressed in words. God can only be expressed in something that transcends words. So, of course, what are yes are musicians. So trying to reveal the science of God in music. And so the entire first side of the album is based on this notion, the revealing science of God. This is an amazing track to delve into, and not on the first listen. Like a lot of Yes, this album takes several listens to really get the hooks, and Tales from Topographic Oceans is probably the album that takes the most of that. However, there are some good classic Yes hooks on this. The Rick Wakeman keyboard line is pretty amazing on this. And so this is followed by the second song, which is actually my favorite moment on the album, which is the remembering. High Time, the memory. And basically the song is based on the fact that all you are your experiences and being able to recall those experiences. Which is an interesting note, very empirical, very almost John Locke. and its way it goes about it. Very powerfully performed. Again, this is probably my favorite song on the album, and they don't perform this. They performed it obviously on the Tales tour, but this is kind of a forgotten Yes song, which is really unfortunate. I put this up there in some of my top Yes songs of all time. A lot of stuff going on in the song, a lot of different movements. I actually like it better than the first song, which is rare, because a lot of people really think that first song is the best part of the album, the first song for it. This is then followed up by what is probably the most divisive part of the album, the third side, which is called The Ancients, or Giants Under the Sun. The theme of this song is the collective memory we all have and our connection to old civilizations, the entire history of humans. Obviously, as someone that likes to expand that bridge of what is humans and what is personhood and what is kind of the collective, living thing of the world, I wouldn't say that extends just to humans. This extends to all living creatures. In any case, the theme is really cool. The music is definitely the most challenging on the album. In fact, this is the song that they kept trying to persuade John Anderson, hey, let's do the album, but without track 3, which of course he didn't agree to. But yeah, it's a little all over the place. It takes a lot of listens, but it's not bad. It's a good song. This is followed by the big moment of the album, which, like the first track, some would say is the best, Ritual, which is actually the only song that Rick Wakeman claims to like. Ritual is kind of the culmination of everything kind of the experience, the memory, the science of God, the ancient civilizations, all coming in to your life now. Again, it's a powerful album. It's a powerfully themed album. Has maybe the best artwork of any Roger Dean thing. Maybe this, Relayer. I don't know. I should do a ranking on Roger Dean album covers. I mean, some of those Asia albums are good too. Gatefold, obviously. Actually, did you know that you can put this album next to Relayer and it actually creates one piece, which is very Roger Dean. So, you might also realize that we didn't play the album on this. There's all sorts of controversy on all sorts of shows like this. Obviously, no one's going to care about my little channel with my tens and tens of subscribers. Actually, I've got over 1,000, so thank you. But I know that some of the bigger channels keep getting copyright hits, and I don't want any of that. And actually, me playing these records, I'm not actually playing them. I'm just kind of there. It's kind of there in the background, and it's probably more distracting. So yeah, I'm not doing that for a little bit. And instead of my old-looking Victrola, you can see my harmonium in the background. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Tales from Topographic Oceans. Go listen to it and go pour yourself a pink gin by the Isle of Wight Distillery. It's pretty amazing, and do both at the same time. It's quite an experience. In the meantime, cheers, everyone.